let me show you some fun lights, lights that I enjoy, and I'll tell you why. This Edolux, this is a AA size light, right? AA cell would fit in there. It'll also do a 14500. So this is a dual volt, dual chemistry light, and a lot of these will be dual chemistry. Here is another dual chemistry light. This is by Ace Beam. Here is a AAA sized or 10440 lithium ion. Two fun lights from Freelux. This one takes AA's or 14500s. This one takes AAA's or 10440s. These are fun, man. And the reason why they're fun is because you don't have to be like worried about finding a charger. You don't have to be worried about what if, I lose a cell or something, or planned obsolescence. You can just go get an alkaline or nickel metal hydride or on a loop off the shelf, from a remote control around the house. And the reason I'm talking about this right now is because today, Olight released their latest version of the Ostation, the Ostation 2. Let's go take a look at it because this really simplifies charging. And if you love lights like this, it is a great synergistic kind of thing. That Ostation and this, it's awesome. Let's go take a look. Okay, I'm in my kitchen for a moment because I really just couldn't fit both these huge devices under my overhead. And I wanted to make a direct comparison between them. I want to show you that this is the older Ostation 10, which only does AA sized alkalines, okay? This was the first one that they created. I said Ostation 10, it's Ostation X, I'm sure of it. But every time I see, an X, I think Roman numerals, but it's Ostation X, I'm sure of it. Now, I want to point out that when you throw the AA alkalines in here, I keep saying alkalines too, that's bad. Rechargeables, they gotta be rechargeable batteries. So rechargeables or on loops. When you throw them in here, these guys right here, you can throw them in any direction you want. This way, with the pole this way, or this way, and it automatically sorts them out. And, that's just kind of what this device does. It kind of makes a little thing down here where you can feed them. You just go boop, and they just kind of come out and you grab them. Right here is a drawer for rejects, okay? And you see there's one in there, so this one got rejected for whatever reason. But I want to show you that when you throw them in here, okay, put them in here like this, put two in there, notice that it won't start doing anything until I close this. There's actually a micro switch here. So that's one change that's different between this one and this one. This one, the doors can be open, it still operates. This one has to be closed. Now, right now, this thing is going to be moving the batteries into position, and they'll start charging them. You see it's green, meaning it's ready to charge. It's, this will sleep and the light will go out. But right now, it's green, meaning I'm ready to do so. And once the batteries get in there, you'll start seeing this kind of fill up, showing the estimated time for when it's going to be charged. But it's not a great display because it only shows the slowest battery. So if one of those two batteries I put in there is going to charge faster than the other one, you really don't get a great display about it. Now, you could go on the app. That's one way to do it. But I'm just saying that on the actual device, it's what you get. Also, another thing I want to point out is on the back here, you can see that the plug comes straight out. This is the included charge cable or power cable, I should say, that comes with the device. Notice that they made a upgrade on the new one because it actually comes out at an angle so you can fit it up against a wall better. So that was something I noticed. Also notice that on this one, you can charge them with the doors open. And the reason why is because how it looks to see if it should look for new batteries is based on kind of this vibration of you closing it. There's like a sensor in here. So you can see it's now reading all the 4 bays it has to see if there's batteries in there. Also, just tapping the screen should work. So there's multiple ways to get this thing to look to see if you've popped the battery in. There is a AA for the front and a AAA for the back now because the old one only did AA's. This one now does both. And another cool thing is it will now do multiple chemistries within reason. So let's head back to the studio and really take a look at the new one. All right, we're back in the studio, and I got my camera configured in an odd kind of way, trying to get this big beast of an item on screen, you might be like, hey, well, why is it so hard to do that? Well, if you notice, the camera is set with a fixed lens. I do flashlights, I do small things. So this is a new thing for me to do something that's large. But I think it really, it makes sense though, because this is made by a flashlight company for using the AA's and AAA lights I talked about earlier. This is the Ostation 2 Pro. And the Pro has this big, beautiful screen. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in right now, and we can see this screen better now, okay? So it's got charging status here, and it's looking through the different bays here. You can see there's 2 bays for the AAAs and 2 bays for the AA's. And it says NA, 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 because it's not finding anything. Now, let me show you what happens here. So if I take 2 AA's here, for example, and I'm gonna go ahead and come to the door in the back here. Oh, wow, it's hard to get this stuff on camera here. But we're gonna come to the AA in the back here and open it up. I'm gonna go ahead and throw them in here like this. And it doesn't matter which direction you throw them in. You throw them in that way or this way, it doesn't matter, okay? Now, I'm gonna go like that. And what it's gonna do is, the fact that it was vibrating, the fact that I was messing with it, it is now rotating. It's going rear, because there's wheels inside it. They're grabbing those guys and pulling them into position. So after, a moment of whirring here, whirring like a robot, you're gonna see that these 2 are gonna light up and are going to be charging the 2 AA's. Now, I'm gonna tell you some of the ins and outs of using this charger since I've been using it for a little bit, okay? It's well designed. I tried to break it several times, and we'll get to that. I could not break it. It worked well. But going back to it here, it still hasn't latched onto them yet, and that's pretty normal. I noticed that when I throw the batteries in there, sometimes it takes quite a while for the battery there to actually see. Oh, there it goes. It grabbed it, and now it's pulling it down. You can see it's pulling down. And I think the reason why is because there's 2 channels here, because you can load a bunch of batteries up into the channels, and it can only charge 2 AA's and 2 AAA. So 4 batteries total, but only 2 of each size at a time. But you can store multiple batteries waiting for you. So you can like plop a whole bunch in there, up to 12 of each chemistry. And then just in the morning, they'll all be charged. So anyways, now when we look at the front again, we can see that it's decided that one of these is fully charged because I charged it just before the video here. I was playing around with it, making sure I really understood what was going on. And the other one you can see is dead, really. And so one of the things I want to point out is it charges in pairs, okay? So this one, once it reaches 100%, it will have to wait until this one hits 100% in order to eject it out to the drawer, okay? It's just the way it is. But what's awesome is these AAAs over here are separate. So for example, in this drawer here, I've got a couple rejects, and those of you that know about battery types might already know why these were rejected, okay? And we'll get to that in a second. But if I take this AAA sized one and I throw it into the AAA side, so let's go ahead and do that. Throw it in there, go and close it. It's going to start rotating, and it's going to pull that one in and try and analyze it, and it will then eject it once it realizes, so you can see it moving into place. And it'll realize it can't do it because it's a lithium ion, 4.2 volt, 3.6 volt nominal. So it can't charge those. So what's going to happen is it's going to look at it. It won't even show up here. It's just going to reject it. And then once it rejects it over here, here's a counter for when you come back overnight to see what it's accomplished. Up here is how many cells it is charged overnight and then deposited in the drawers at the bottom here. See, it separates the AA's and the AAA's. And then down here is how many cells it rejected. So we're going to hear in a moment or two here that cell I just put in is going to get rejected. It's going to drop into this rejected drawer, and this counter will go up by 1. So, oh, I just heard it. I heard it eject down. Oh, there it is. You can see it just came out. What I noticed is this little counter is delayed a little bit. I'm not sure why, but it clearly rejected the AAA size because it bounced into the AA size that was here. And now you see it's registered 1 reject. And when I go like this, you can see the 2 lithium ions that are in there, the 4.2 volts that it can't do. Okay, so yeah, of course I threw lithium ions in there. I wanted to see what would happen because I mean, it's something that might happen in my world. I've got ones that look like AA's. Maybe I don't read them carefully. Maybe I throw them in there. So what's great about this unit is it does testing before it charges. So if you throw an alkaline in there, which you cannot charge, it will detect that and reject it. I'm pretty sure. I actually didn't do that test. But Olight's a smart company. I think it does reject those. I know that you can charge nickel metal hydride, NiCads, Onoloops, and lithium ion 1.5 volts. So let's take a look at that now. Go back to overhead here. So Olight has a couple different battery packages to give you here. They've got their AA size nickel metal hydride, and you can see that these big fatties are 2100 milliamp hours. All right, a quick Google search told me that the typical AA alkaline should be about 1800, and the really good ones go all the way up to 3000 milliamp hours. So that's right in line with the nickel metal hydride. The AAA's here, you can see are, let me get a better focus on them. The AAA's are 950 milliamp hours. So these are about half the capacity of the AA's, and it makes sense, they're smaller. But what's really awesome is Olight has these rechargeable lithium ions. These things, so these are the same size, these are AA size, so they're same size as the nickel metal hydrides, but instead of being 21 milliamp hours, they are over 3,000. They're almost 3,200 milliamp hours. So for the same size, approximately same weight, this lithium ion is just higher density than nickel metal hydride as far as energy, higher energy density. So these are awesome. Also, the fact that it's 1.5 volts instead of 1.2 volts would mean about the same brightness on a typical Olight. But if you're running a dual chemistry light, like one of the Freelux or the Ray light, the 1.5 volt will give you a little more lumens than the 1.2 volts because those dual chemistry drivers are hooked into the voltage for how the output is. Okay, so now that we've gone over the chemistries it can do, note that what it expressly cannot do. I'm a little sad about this because when I first heard about this announcement and they said that it was going to do lithium ion, I was like, oh, finally, I can put 14500s in there. No, you cannot put 14500s or 10440s in there. Olight, if you're listening, I would love that feature for upcoming products. To me, I don't know, I guess it is an engineering feat because you'd have to like test the battery and see the voltage range first. But to me, that would be something that could be done to get it tested and, figure out what chemistry is. So that's something I'd like in the future. All right, now we're going back to what we've been doing here, and you can see that we're charging this guy up. At the bottom here, it says we've been charging for 7 minutes. We've put 23% into this one. This one's still sitting just under 100%. And remember that first off, when you get to the end of the battery, it kind of trickle charges it up to 100%. So it takes longer. It charges fast at the beginning and then kind of goes slower at the end. But I also want to point out that when we reach 100%, it is not going to eject that cell until the other one's done because it does them in pairs. Notice that I was able to interact with the AAA side while the AA side was charging, so they're independent. But notice that if I were to throw in one AA cell and get it charging, only one, and while it's charging, then throw another AA cell in, that one's going to wait. That one's going to wait until the one is done, because once it's engaged charging, you can charge one cell by itself or two, but once it's engaged, it has to finish until it can do another two or another one that's waiting. I hope that made sense what I was saying. Now, the screen is awesome. The screen is awesome. Let's take a look at the screen for a second. So I can go back here. There's a little menu system. And this button right here shows you the charging status. This button goes into some settings where you see it says connection. I have it on. That's because you can connect it to your phone. And of course, I'm going to show that to you in a second. You can also delay charging because it does make whirring noises and do things. And maybe you don't want it to charge while you're sleeping, or maybe you do want it to charge while you're sleeping. So, you can set that up. And then here you can tap screen off. So that way, if the screen's blaring at you, you can tap it off. And then just any tap anywhere, it'll come back on, okay? Lastly, you can turn the unit off. If I hit this, it's got a very iPhone style slide to turn off. I'm not going to do that because I'm in the middle of charging right now. You can see that. Now let's take a look at the app, okay? So you're going to run the Olight app here, not the older Hub app that you saw next to it. Let me move this aside and let's take a look at this. Now, the Olight app is interesting because they're trying to make it a one-stop shop for all your Olight needs, which I respect. But it does feel kind of weird to me to be in this display for buying new products when what I'm trying to do is look at my Ostation. But I do want to point two things out about that. I want to point out one thing, that is this prominent button. When I tap it, it goes to the devices and shows all my devices. So it's really easy to get to your devices. That's not a problem. And also, I want to point out that if you want to be dumped into the device's screen, you do not have to be dumped into the, what's doing at Olight screen. And the way you do that is at the bottom here where, your little user icon is. You click on that, then you click on settings, and then under settings, you look for default startup page right there. And then when you click that, here, let me click it again. Down at the bottom, it says, do you want home or do you want my device? And so home would show you all the products, and my device means that when you go into the app, you get dumped straight into here, okay? Now you can see I have the old Ostation 10 set up, and I have the new one. Now something I want to tell you, well, here, let's get into the new one first before I get too deep into the differences. You can see that it's showing the charging state of both batteries. You can see this one's not moving because I bet you it's done. I bet you it's going to eject at any moment. When this one's done, it will anyways. But you see how this one's going up. It's showing that it is charging. Down here, you have the same kind of settings for, pausing the schedule and all that stuff. Down here, it says wake sensor sensitivity. So in the old one, when the door was opened and then closed, there's a micro switch, and that told it, hey, okay, maybe the user put new batteries in. I should start worrying and figuring that out. On the new one, just interacting with it, there's like a motion sensor. And so shaking it, jostling it, closing the doors, tapping the front screen, all these will impart a vibration that tells it, hey, I should look to see if there's new batteries. So if you're finding that sensor is not working great, you can see that down here, you can adjust how sensitive that sensor is. I left it on default and found no issues, but it's there for you if you need it. Now, if you've used the Ostation X, I keep doing that. One thing that's notably missing from this page is, and let me go into here, is down at the bottom here for the Ostation 10. Wow, it's really bright. Let me turn down my exposure a little more. There we go. Notice that we got charging mode, fast and standard. Now, that is missing from the new one. I started thinking, if it doesn't have that, like a little button for me to toggle, there's just no way that it's going slower, right? So in my testing, what I noticed was that if I put a AA rechargeable into the old Ostation 10 on standard, it took a while over an hour. When I went to fast mode, most cells would charge up in just over 30 minutes, like 35, 40 minutes from dead to full. I noticed that the new one did it faster, about 10 minutes faster without any of those settings. What I'm saying is the new one is likely more intelligent and doesn't need user input to figure out how to charge it efficiently fast. And I don't hear a fan on it. I just don't hear a fan. And I put my ear up to it while it's charging earlier as well. So I'm not sure how they're keeping them cool. I wonder if they're using conduction instead of convection. You know, instead of blowing air over it, maybe they actually have them line up against something. I'm not sure what they're doing, but clearly it's faster and not noisy. So that's awesome. I do want to point out that in the drawers down here at the bottom, that's why I'm pushing it back so you can see them. You know, this is where the AA's would be deposited. You can see that I have a AAA in there right now. This AAA is kind of a no-name Tenergy. It's just a Chinese brand off of Amazon. It's a NiCad, and this charged it fine. So it did a great job with cheap cells. It does a great job with better cells. Should you go out of your way to get the Olight branded cells, that's up to you. They are good cells. They are really, really good cells. Olight, you know, I could wax poetic why I think Olight cares so much about cells these days. And, you know, I don't want to get into a whole off-track diatribe here about, you know, what enthusiasts like to say about Olight, about, you know, their batteries being an issue. But I think that, you know, what happened years ago really made Olight think about safety, think about quality with batteries, and they buy top chemistries, rewrap it with their name, but, you know, they know that the quality of the cell has their name on the line. You know, it's like your product, their product, the Olight flashlight isn't going to operate well unless the cell is good. So I really do think that, you know, getting their cells is a great idea because, you know, you got really good cells then. The beauty of a product like this is it's so automated that, you know, there's just not a lot to really talk about. You know, the fact that I was going through here really talking about, oh, what if you put one cell in or two cells or a bad cell? I think that's just me trying to really see the ramifications of how this device works. But this is a device designed for you to put, you know, near your home entertainment center or whatever, and let the whole family use it. Let them just throw batteries in and then, you know, just get new batteries they need from the drawers. My 5-year-old can use this thing. She's got no problem just throwing batteries in the top. So really great device. And, you know, I think it's a worthy upgrade to the Ostation 10, which couldn't do the AAA sized. Now, the second time I've said it in the video, but Olight, if you could please add, you know, 3.6 volt lithium support, oh, this would be amazing. Now, before I go, one last feature I gotta show, and that is on the Pro version, not only do you get a beautiful screen, but you get this. On the side here, right there, there is a little flip out thing. You can put your finger in here, flip it out, and yep, those are MCC charging ports, and there's 2 of them. So you can take your Olight whatever that's MCC and just plug it on right there, and you saw the magnet stick to it, so it's not going to fall over. And you can see that there is a red light to show that it's charging right there, and it'll go green when it's done. And yes, you can charge 2 simultaneously. So like, you know, Baton Turbo next to your Arc Pro Ultra, which I think is a really good pairing actually, because Baton Turbo is so throwy. But anyways, yeah, I think that this, to me, if you're wondering between the Pro version and the non-Pro version, I would get the Pro version because the screen is awesome, but then this right here, that is an important upgrade for me because it doesn't do lithium ion. So if you at least have Olight branded lights, you can charge your lithium ion lights over here on the little charging, plate that flips out. To me, these two features are a big deal. So I'm sure somebody out there will want to save, I think it's like $50 difference. Maybe somebody will want to do that. But for me, to get the MCC charging and the nice touch screen, let's do it. I think that's a really great idea. So that is the new Ostation 2 Pro, and I think it's a worthy successor to the Ostation 10. And so it should be on sale, I think, very soon. I mean, I know that the release is today. So thank you for watching. And also take a look at upcoming very soon in a couple days. I'm going to have a video about Firefly's X4 Stellar. That is a great light. I got two of them actually, and I'll talk about the differences. But to me, I mean, these are like, fighting words. I think that the Firefly's X4 Stellar is kind of the Hank Wang, D4K killer. Anyways, but thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next review.